female reporters are often at the center of the bullseye. 73% of women journalists saying they've experienced online attacks.
Hey, nice job on that story, you soulless effing.
That's fantastic.
Journalist Taylor Lorenz is a columnist for The Washington Post and was targeted nearly 1 year ago in a segment on Fox News.
This is the moment that Carlson aired that segment.
I like this. This is cute. I want this inside of me.
This is after I did a report on an increase in the number of white supremacists running for office. Condescending journalist, C-word, deserves a rope. Obviously, I'm a person of color. Obviously, there's a reference to a noose.
Wait a minute.
Obviously, I'm a person of color. Obviously, there's a reference to a noose. Person of color. I had severe PTSD from this. I contemplated suicide. It got really bad. You feel like any little piece of information that gets out on you will be used by the worst people on the internet to destroy your life. And it's so isolating.
And terrifying.
It's horrifying. I'm so sorry. It's overwhelming. It's really hard.
So Taylor Lorenz stalks the landscape hurting people, and if you say something about it, she claims you're attacking her because she's got all kinds of neuroses or whatever. You're the aggressor.
Taylor Lorenz has a pattern of lying and destroying innocent people and manipulating young people, and she needs to be held accountable.
Even using her name in public will elicit some self-pitying stream on Twitter about how you're committing violence against her and endangering her.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and in case you're new around here, I don't care for journalists. Why? Because in my experience, the overwhelming majority of them are liars. And when they are not lying, they're fabricating stories, inventing stories, and lying again. When a journalist tells you they're not lying, that's also a lie. One of the biggest liars and one of the biggest blights on the entertainment industry, whether it's here on YouTube or, TikTok and things of that nature, is resident liar Taylor Lorenz, who has put out numerous hit pieces full of absolute lies, fabrications, and slander. And now she's literally on camera crying because people send her mean tweets. That's right. A journalist who has made a career out of destroying other people's careers, and the list of people whom she's destroyed is long, is crying and demanding your sympathy for people sending her, that's right, mean tweets. In fact, she claims she is suffering PTSD from, quote, mean tweets. Please feel bad for the journalist again, who, in my opinion's entire career, is fabricating stories. Remember when she said Mr. Beast had a homophobic past, then plucked 3 random tweets from 1 billion years ago and built an entire 10,000-word essay around it? Yeah, his biggest offending tweet saying Windows is gay. One of the things that most people colloquially said, at least here in the Midwest, people called things gay all the time without having any idea that it was necessarily referring to the LGBTQ community. The 90s were a different time. People that grew up in the 90s know exactly what I'm talking about. Just like the bundle of sticks words. People said that all the time too, but now we know better. But to mine tweets. By the way, Taylor Lorenz regularly scrubs her social media every 60 to 90 days so she doesn't get caught in her own trap. That is her entire job. Oh yeah, that and contacting underage TikTokers under the guise of being a journalist to write stories about them, not reaching out to their parents' consent in many cases, as well as being reported by other YouTubers. But now she wants you to feel bad for her. Journalist Taylor Lorenz breaks down in tears discussing horrifying harassment. You know, like the article that you wrote about Mr. Beast, claiming that one of his former employees was bullied, even though that employee had just published a video saying that he effing loved Mr. Beast and he was so thankful for everything he did for him that you didn't put in your article. Or how about this article you wrote for The Atlantic, calling him has a history of quote-unquote homophobic comments. Do you know what that history was? 3 random tweets. Here's one from 5 years ago in which he uses the bundle of stick words. And then again from 2016, 8 years ago. And then she didn't put in the Windows is gay one. Okay, so this is a history. 2 tweets that are at minimum 7 years old, 5 years old. This is a history of it. No, it's not a history of it. It's he used a word twice that, you know, used to be thrown around all the time between guys. But again, I'm not saying the word's okay, but I'm saying times are different now, and 5 years is a long time ago. So he made 2 tweets 5 and 6 years ago, and you wrote an entire article calling him, saying he had a homophobic history. Of course, when informed that that was not an option, so you see, I'm not offensive towards anyone, he said. I'm not offensive in the slightest bit in anything I do. I'm just going to ignore it. I don't think anyone cares about this stuff. They don't. He then asked The Atlantic if The Atlantic could simply run a positive article about him and not include the slurs. When informed that that was not an option, he suggested that he respond to a list of questions and writing an email. Wouldn't it be easier if I just filled out these answers instead of saying this? Finally said, I'm just a dumb kid that makes YouTube videos and I don't like doing interviews, before cutting the call short and hanging up. Minutes after the call ended, Jimmy deleted all tweets using that particular word from his Twitter account. So, okay, problem solved, right? No. This is, you have to write an entire article calling him homophobic and say it runs deep in the YouTube community. Okay, all right, well, and again, there's also the story of 2 Instagrammers that Taylor Lorenz doxed and attached their mother, for whatever reason, to them, saying that they had some sort of Trump-loving mother, and therefore that they're evil and they should be excommunicated from the YouTube community. This is just one of many times Taylor Lorenz stalked people, in my opinion, including this talent agent. New York Times reporter Taylor Lorenz now being sued for defamation by TikTok agent. TikTok agent Miss Jacob, who represents stars like Charli D'Amelio and other online influencers, has slapped the New York Times and its reporter with a $6.2 million defamation lawsuit. Filed in the Southern District of New York, the lawsuit claims that an August 2020 article by Taylor Lorenz contained numerous false and disparaging comments. What a coincidence! About Jacob and her business, including the accusation that she leaked spicy images of one of her own clients to, quote, manipulate him. No evidence provided, right? A representative for the New York Times said Ms. Jacobs' main complaint is that the New York Times gave a voice to young people who felt they had been mistreated by her. Okay, we'll see how that works out. Okay, so this is somebody that has a history of defaming, writing slanderous statements, a history of targeting young people and trying to destroy their life. Here's another article by big-brained investigative reporter Taylor Lorenz. The Instagram stars hiding their famous Muslim-hating mom. Okay, so what does their mom have to do with them at all? Nothing. Girl with no job ends up having their career destroyed because reasons. Because In my opinion, Taylor Lorenz does not like other successful women. This is evident from her numerous fights and spats with coworkers and other people that work at the New York Times. You can see this article, again, fabricating. What does a mom have to do with anything? Nothing. But these women were popular on Instagram, so Taylor Lorenz had to destroy their career. Here's some more. Now, after the video comes out, oh, and I should show you just how pathetic the video is. Should we take a look at how pathetic the video is? Because it's pathetic, okay?
Welcome back.
Just one.
Let's go here.
White supremacists running for office. Condescending journalists, C word, deserves a rope. Obviously, I'm a person of color. Obviously, there's a reference
Obviously.
to a noose. Are you getting messages like these?
Yep. Hey, nice.
By the way, 1 in 3 women under 35 experience online harassment. Taylor Lorenz is in her 40s. I'm not sure why she's on this panel.
Nice job on that story, you soulless effing.
Okay. I mean, I wouldn't send that message, but, you know, when you're in the business of ruining careers, you know, you're going to get some angry messages.
Then also you'll see there's many people that are tweeting, you know, these are Taylor Lorenz's loved ones.
They
of
have
everyone.
photos. Wow, these are all photos of your family members.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like, oh, you mean Taylor, like how you doxed these 2 Instagram stars' mom and wrote an entire article about her? Wow, you don't like it when people use your own methods against you, do you, Taylor Lorenz?
Children. Yeah. They'll threaten children. They'll threaten.
You mean like the children you are constantly sliding into their DMs on Instagram? Oh, you mean like here where you say, quote, I comment on every single TikTok on the quote for you page, like, oh, cool, or LOL, just to get the conversation going, because that's how you meet people. Part of it helps being a woman. This is Taylor Lorenz talking about sliding into underage TikTokers' DMs in some cases. To be honest, I think it's much easier for me to slide into these people's DMs in a non-threatening way than from a male journalist in his 30s. Sorry, Taylor, you're barely in your 30s. Stop lying about your age. Anyway, so I definitely use that to my advantage. So to be clear, she's talking about sliding into TikTokers' DMs and how being a woman makes that easier for her. That seems predacious in my opinion. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Let's hear her continue her sob story.
I've had to remove every single social tie. I had severe PTSD from this. I contemplated suicide. It got really bad. You feel like any little piece of information.
Oh my God, any little piece of information being used against you? Oh my God, it's so hilarious. I don't have to touch that. You don't see that. That's exactly what you do.
That gets out on you will be used by the worst people on the internet to just.
Yeah, journalists. Journalists are the worst people on the internet. This is a fact. This is known, Taylor.
Destroy your life. And it's so isolating.
Oh no, Taylor Lorenz made a whole career out of destroying people's careers, and then when people get mad at her, it's just not fair. Get out of here with your crocodile tears. Then, of course, she doubles down on being a victim after this airs. Taylor Lorenz blames MSNBC for online harassment after complaining on air that she had PTSD from mean tweets. Journalists are the lowest of the low, scum of the earth, okay? There may be a few good ones, but they're rare. After Taylor Lorenz went on MSNBC and cried about being targeted for mean words on social media in response to her false allegations and accusations against others on social media, she complained that she received even more mean words after her emotional display. Lorenz, who voluntarily went on, by the way, this is by Libby Emmons, voluntarily went on MSNBC to talk about mean words online she had experienced, complained that the left-wing news channel was to blame for the increase in mean words she'd received after she cried and said that she was left with PTSD from the first round of mean words. Thus far, Taylor Lorenz has blamed journalist Glenn Greenwald, Fox News pundit Tucker Carlson, and MSNBC for the mean tweets and DMs she's received, and claimed that her former employer, the New York Times, did not do enough to protect her from online meanies. There's a line in the great show Justified, I'm sure it's not actually original to there, but maybe it is, where Raylan Givens is talking to a fugitive, and he says, you know what, if you run into an a-hole in the morning, you ran into an a-hole. If you run into a-holes all day long, you're the a-hole. It kind of applies here, doesn't it, Taylor? If your segment or story, here's what if your segment or story on online mean words leads to even more online mean words for your subjects, you effed up royally and should learn how to cover these things properly before talking about them again. I could teach an entire class on this stuff, but the simple fact is very few people in power and newsrooms actually understand how the modern internet and online landscape works, so they continually give ammo to bad actors. You mean like journalists who take tweets out of context and try to ruin people's careers? But I don't whine on it. Sorry, I'm sorry. Passive aggression being the main mode that our ruling class operates in, Tucker Carlson said of Lorenz, she's decided that she's a victim. And the people who complain about what she does to them are actually the perpetrators. Lorenz is well known as a cry bully who has been sued for defamation by those she's targeted. She once went after a talent agent, destroying the woman's entire business. Lorenz wrote an article in which she claimed that she had leaked spicy photos of her clients. After the New York Times article, I was radioactive in my industry, Jacob told the Wrap. People believed Taylor's lies that I stole from clients, leaked this kind of stuff, filmed young people without their consent, and pretended to be friends with social media god Gary Vaynerchuk, someone who's actually been a close friend and advocate, blah, 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 blah. Lorenz also accused a tech entrepreneur of using the R word. In a conversation on Clubhouse, a newsy chat line that sprung up during the lockdowns, after Lorenz made the claims, they were proven to be false. She tweeted out baselessly anyway. Lorenz also went after the teen daughter of Trump admission advisor Kellyanne Conway, driving a public wedge between the daughter and mother. Lorenz had uncovered the teen's social media posts criticizing her mother and amplified them, sharing them with over 170,000 followers. Husband and father George Conway asked Lorenz to stop speaking to his 15-year-old daughter, while Lorenz continued in what the Spectator called at the time questionable ethics. Lorenz said in 2020 that just being a woman journalist was a benefit in the work that she was doing, and now claims it's a problem because as a woman she receives extra mean words. Journalists are the enemy of the people. Taylor Lorenz is a Webster's Dictionary definition of a garbage journalist. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.